The manhwa begins with a monologue explaining that the world is governed by three types of people: those who have talent, those who have money, and finally, those who have good luck. It transitions to a battle scene where a dragon appears, and a chat stream appears below where users watching the stream are commenting. Free wizards appear, and among the comments, it can be seen that they belong to the Abyss Guild. The audience seems excited by the appearance of a woman they call Lisial. She raises her arms and begins to sing, and a caption above her says, "The God's Roulette activated," and then large wings emerge from the woman. While this is happening, the audience in the chat requests the appearance of someone named Nike. Nike appears later and uses her power, Goddess of Victory, to fight against the dragon. At that moment, the tank players are pushed back to make way for Merlin, another main player, who summons a flame dragon and delivers the final blow. The chat reveals that the guild has defeated the dungeon in a record time of 2 hours and 27 minutes. After this, we see a boy sitting in a chair who had been watching the stream. Later, he answers a call in which he discusses the price for which he is being hired. The person on the other end says that others will take his place if he doesn't want it, and eventually the boy reluctantly accepts and hangs up. Another young man appears and enters the room looking for him. He calls him HyeonWoo, revealing the protagonist's name. HyeonWoo leaves the room, and the two of them walk outside. HyeonWoo's friend tries to console him, telling him that the number of people who can make a living from the raids in the game God Wars is quite small. Despite his talent and knowing this, because God Wars is not an intuitive game with automatic guidance, and this was a disadvantage that HyeonWoo took advantage of, who used to be a baseball player. It is revealed that he was actually quite good before an injury affected him. The friend, who is actually a worker at the establishment, talks about how HyeonWoo has been raising his character, Midas, for over 5 years. The character is one that HyeonWoo obtained after spending all his money on a gacha class card. Furthermore, HyeonWoo's thoughts clarify that his goal in wanting to make money through raids in God Wars is to protect his family. Before leaving, HyeonWoo asks Hyukju, the worker, what he does. He tells him about a novel where the protagonist died and returned to the past, planning his revenge. As they walk outside, getting wet in the rain, HyeonWoo thinks that if he were to die, he wouldn't seek revenge but would buy stocks instead. Lost in his thoughts, he doesn't see a truck approaching, although to his relief, it is not him who has an accident. The truck swerves to avoid hitting him and ends up crashing into a pole. Relieved, HyeonWoo thinks that his luck has been fortunate to escape death that way, once again failing to notice the pole falling and the cables hitting the ground, electrocuting him. Finally, he says that even with a life without much talent or money, he can still say that it was undoubtedly the best day of his life. We are told about the birth of God Wars, a game that was born in 2034 and was a great revolution in the sports, entertainment, and cultural space. It managed to attract 1.8 billion users, and its fame is such that there is a percentage of people who can make money from the game. HyeonWoo is seen waking up in the hospital with no serious injuries or anything significant, and he is discharged as soon as he gets up. However, when HyeonWoo returns to the apartment where he lives and tries to access it, the security system says that the biometric data is not registered. It is his niece, Hyorin, who ends up opening the door for him. Inside the apartment is the girl's father, Jung HyeonWoo, HyeonWoo's older brother. Taewoo asks him if he's alright because he had been informed that he was in the hospital. HyeonWoo assures him that everything is fine. He then proceeds to tell him that the security system must be damaged because it kept repeating that he wasn't registered. Taewoo tells him that such a thing is impossible because the device uses the same algorithm as the capsules used to play God Wars. Afraid that the device that rejected him uses the same algorithm as the capsules for logging in, HyeonWoo hurriedly goes to a cafe to check if he has any issues logging in. It turns out that he does have problems, and he is seen arguing with someone from customer service over the phone. They ask him to hire a lawyer, and when HyeonWoo refuses, they hang up on him. Biometric information, as HyeonWoo explains, is the unique information from the biometric signals emitted by each person. It cannot be forged or altered. For security reasons, it is the best way to prove someone's identity authenticity. HyeonWoo assumes that the problem with the biometric information is due to the accident from the previous day when he was electrocuted. Unable to do anything else, HyeonWoo decides to create a new user and asks Hyukju to prepare a capsule for him. Since he had a spare card for creating a character, he starts all over again, creating a character with the same name as before, Midas. At the same time, he thinks about how similar God Wars is to real life, as from the start, you need money to be able to begin. The items in the game are incredibly expensive, all because there are people who want to live conveniently in the game, even if it costs a lot. They also want to have a position where they can sell items. As soon as HyeonWoo creates his new account, the lottery for selecting his first class appears. HyeonWoo laments, aware of the amount of money he spent just to become a mage, and he says that there are only two good options in this random game: being a millionaire or having very good luck. Suddenly, as he observes the cards trying to decide which one to choose, he sees that one of them lights up and says Archmage below it. Thinking he's hallucinating, HyeonWoo takes the card. To his surprise, the card turns out to be a genuine Archmage class card, a class for which the clarified third best player of God Wars had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. With this new advancement, HyeonWoo decides not to mine, as he had planned to do initially, but instead, he decides to use his new class and level up as fast as he can to participate in raids. We see HyeonWoo being confident that his Archmage class will soon be removed, believing it to be a system error. But what he thinks doesn't happen. Unlike what he believed, when he clicks on accepting the tutorial, an interface appears that, to his surprise, in addition to the general content, also has hidden information. The hidden information states that those who survive more than 71 minutes will receive the reward of the Tutorial Master title, and obtaining this title will give a +10 increase in all statistics as a prize. The protagonist is surprised by this change. Normally, there is only a +5 increase after each level up, so technically, it would increase all statistics to level 2. Knowing that the information he has is essential because he had never seen anyone mention this in 5 years of playing God Wars, HyeonWoo gets excited. Making sure to record, he starts the tutorial with the determination to endure the difficult mandatory 71 minutes to obtain the desired title. He appears in a forest, along with all the other players starting the tutorial. In front of them, there are some ogres, but HyeonWoo is not scared because he knows that the goal is not to defeat them but to survive. Interestingly, as he analyzes the ogres, he notices that they all have a glowing green circle above them that turns red before they charge. HyeonWoo deduces that it is the aggro marker. He can even visualize the monster's status window. While evaluating them, he concludes that when the circle is green, the monster is in a peaceful state, with no intention to attack. When it changes to red, the monster has recognized him as a target to attack. Thanks to the fact that the protagonist has been playing for a long time and has memorized how to escape from ogres, he takes advantage of his opportunities to survive for the remaining hour of gameplay. An hour later, HyeonWoo comes out of the capsule, happy that everything he experienced was not a dream, so he plays back the video he was recording. Although he ended up dying in the end, he still managed to obtain the prize he was seeking. Hyukju appears then and asks about his condition and why he seems so agitated. HyeonWoo says he is conflicted about starting over, and Hyukju, confused, asks why he would play from scratch if he has a mage that he trained for so long. Upon hearing his words, HyeonWoo pretends to be discouraged, implying to Hyukju that his account has actually been suspended. He asks him to continue on his own path and not to mention what happened while he goes back to playing. The protagonist doesn't want anyone to know his secret for fear that the developers will find out about his ability and the likelihood of being harassed for money. He knows that he most likely gained that ability suddenly thanks to the accident the previous day when he was electrocuted. HyeonWoo wants to use that ability to earn enough money to protect his family. As soon as he enters the capsule again, he finds himself in the starting city. HyeonWoo knows that he needs to level up quickly, but for that, he must go to the Explorers Guild. He stops when he notices a light under a tree accompanied by a question mark sign, so he thinks that perhaps a quest starts there. As he approaches to take a closer look, he discovers that there is a dog in that place. It is revealed that the protagonist has actually discovered a legendary quest, a style of quest in God Wars that represents the highest ranking. HyeonWoo tries to calm down as he realizes this, considering the possibility that with this quest, he might be able to earn something that would allow him to live comfortably for at least a month. To verify the authenticity of the quest, the protagonist touches the sleeping dog, revealing an interface that displays information regarding the quest. In the quest generation conditions, something called the Vitalizing Resurrection Medicine with the NPC Hayden appears. This style of quest is something that HyeonWoo has not seen before, so he supposes that it is a hidden quest that only occurs under specific circumstances. Thanks to his ability, the protagonist is able to see the hidden information and not overlook something as relevant as that quest. However, he must first go to the Explorers Guild since they are responsible for managing the quests in that area. The reason the Explorers Guild was established is that, although there were quests in God Wars, the generation rates decreased as they became higher. This resulted in a more limited number of times that quests could be completed, and the NPCs also had a limited number of quests they could give in a day. In the end, people appeared who obtained quests in advance to exchange them for money, and there were even people who camped in front of the NPCs to monopolize them. This is how the Explorers Guild was born, due to the incapacity to manage all the NPCs within the game and ensure that players stayed in one place. The starting city also emerged, a place created to help beginner players adapt to the game. Precisely because it was a place to help beginners adapt, you could never return once you left. This meant that by increasing their strength using the starting city as a base, the guild began to expand its services in different ways. They pretended to be kind to beginners, giving them free items and helping them in various ways, seeking to improve their image among others. Eventually, people who evaluated the guild positively started to appear, and just when the developers proclaimed that they would not intervene in the game's affairs, the Explorers Guild became an official business. HyeonWoo heads towards the guild, where he is offered various courses. Since he already knows how things work, he chooses the basic course. He knows that others have tried to scam the guild before, and all of them have disappeared, only to be seen in the mining field and forced to pay off their debts. In a way, there is only one way to escape the guild. People who have such influence that it extends even beyond the game, and that is to renounce your character. The protagonist receives the quest Hayden's Errand, and upon arriving there, he speaks with the guild participant in charge of assisting him before observing the hidden information regarding his mission. While dealing with defeating his enemies, a notice appears indicating that he has been given an opportunity. It turns out to be a gacha, a free ability given when a character reaches a certain level. Cards appear in front of him, and HyeonWoo chooses Fireball. After completing his quest, he returns to the NPC's location with the guild member assigned to monitor him. When he hands over the required materials to the NPC, he argues about the fact that the guild member took all of his goblin hides instead of just 10. As this dispute unfolds, the NPC thanks him for the work and asks him to search for the goblin's resentment. When the guild member notices the dispute, HyeonWoo says that he bought 30 goblin hides to complete the mission since nobody was selling just 10. He pretends to be upset that all the hides were taken and continues to complain for a while before the guild member tells him that his mistakes are not part of their responsibilities and they cannot compensate him for them. Thanks to that, he manages to get rid of the guild's surveillance and completes the additional quest that the NPC had requested, thus obtaining the long-awaited vitalizing resurrection medicine. This allows the protagonist to undertake the legendary quest, so he hurries towards the dog still under the tree and gives it the medicine to drink. He expects to receive a skill card that will allow him to earn money, but it turns out that he has actually become the master of a divine beast, something that cannot be traded. HyeonWoo takes it in his arms, and as he lifts it, he notices that it requests a name, so he decides to name it Lucky. As this happens, a light intermittently blinds him. When his vision clears, he appears surprised, but his heart rate accelerates so much that the game ends the session. The protagonist is seen walking out of the store looking somewhat sad. Someone greets him, but he continues forward. Hyukju tells his companion not to take it to heart and informs him that HyeonWoo has lost the account he had nurtured so much. On the other hand, in reality, HyeonWoo is quite happy. His wolf, Lucky, has turned out to be Fenrir, the strongest divine beast in all of God Wars, unmatched in close combat. Upon leaving, his niece Hyerin calls him, informing him that her father is in the hospital. When he arrives, a doctor explains to him that Tiwoo's blood pressure dropped due to temporary weakening of cardiac functions. The doctor assures him that the patient is out of danger but needs to have his pacemaker replaced periodically and also undergo rehabilitation. During his stay at the hospital with Hyerin, the protagonist worries about money. Determined not to hesitate anymore, they decide to sell the information he has obtained and earn new items to sell well. However, all of this requires nourishing the Archmage properly. The protagonist then appears in the beginner hunting grounds, happy because by saving Lucky, he has achieved two things. Firstly, the need for group members to disappear because he now has a companion who can attract the monster's attention. In a sense, he has gained the freedom to be alone. This will allow him to grow a little more and escape from the starting city, which, although it implies more difficulty, also means more opportunities for significant rewards. Secondly, he has obtained the skill card given by the Archmage God. The protagonist starts the random card draw again and obtains a unique rank skill card, Telekinesis. This skill is exclusive to telekinetic mages. Such a skill is suitable for sabotaging opponents' movements and can only be learned by telekinetic mages, even if they join the group of mages. However, this does not apply to Archmages, who can acquire all kinds of magic. Afterward, he sets off to continue hunting and enters the goblin forests. There, HyeonWoo uses his fireball skill, and as everything goes well with the company of Lucky, he decides to venture further into the forest. While he is thinking about this, some crows take flight, and the protagonist notices an interface in the air with a warning sign. It turns out to be the invasion of a boss monster. HyeonWoo reflects on the meaning of boss monster invasions within God Wars. These are places where great rewards can be found but are limited by their high difficulty, so only the highest rankers are allowed to participate. Through these invasions, good items can be obtained, in addition to what is earned from live broadcasts, where users watch the hunts. The protagonist knows that he still has a long way to go to become a ranker and believes it is appropriate to announce this invasion to the community to make money and buy something for hiring. However, in the end, he gives in to his own desires and decides to undertake the invasion alone with Lucky because he no longer wants to give others those opportunities. Thanks to watching many videos, he knows the attack patterns and plans to battle the boss alongside Lucky. Once the waiting time is over, the boss appears, a goblin with a mask that falls into a pit when trying to approach HyeonWoo. Taking advantage of this moment, the protagonist throws various potions at the boss and then launches fireballs at it. HyeonWoo knows that the Goblin Champion is a boss monster that changes its attack pattern depending on its remaining health. It is the type of monster that newcomers, who are used to fighting field goblins, feel they are at a crossroads. Even alternate accounts with a lot of money have failed to attack them. But if there is a way to neutralize that change in attack pattern, it means the rest is easy. The boss goblin, who until then had been receiving HyeonWoo's fireballs, tries to climb out of the pit, but Lucky prevents it by biting its hand. Just when the goblin's health percentage drops to its lowest, it changes its attack pattern and leaps into the air. Before having the chance to attack the protagonist, Lucky attacks the goblin in the air and bites its neck, and the protagonist finishes it off with fireballs. In the end, HyeonWoo obtains the title of Goblin Champion Hunter, along with other quests that he believes will require him to draw more cards. Then, Lucky barks, and the protagonist turns around to see what he's looking at, which turns out to be the mask worn by the Goblin Champion. Next, the scene shows the protagonist checking the price of the mask, which is around 910. HyeonWoo is excited about the price but laments the fact that no matter how much he wants it, he can't keep it. He has to pay his brother's medical bills and also needs money for daily expenses. At that moment, while still contemplating everything, he receives a call from the insurance company intending to compensate him for the electric shock he had suffered. Although happy, the protagonist lies, saying that he has been suffering from anxiety and trauma resulting from the accident, and has gone through a tough time in his life. Hyukju is now at the cafe, and HyeonWoo hands him his card, telling him to add 300 to his account. Hyukju is surprised by the amount and asks if he got new items. HyeonWoo ends up telling Hyukju that he received money from the insurance company for the previous accident, allowing him to be stable for at least a month and focus on his growth for that month. He is in the goblin forest upon logging in, focused on killing goblins from his position on a tree branch. He uses ice arrows, a type of magic suitable for shielded enemies, and while he keeps shooting arrows, he doesn't notice one of the goblins ascending through the air behind him. But before it can attack, Lucky appears and bites the goblin. HyeonWoo is glad because with the wolf by his side, he feels his back is protected. He travels to different hunting grounds and obtains a variety of basic goblin items, but doesn't find any unique items or complete sets to make a goblin set. He supposes that those are things that can only be obtained through boss raids. At that moment, he hears footsteps, and when he turns to see where they're coming from, he sees a boy running for help. Behind him, there is a man wielding a spiked mace who attacks him from behind, causing the young boy to lose the little health he had left. Other men appear through the bushes and call the attacker Cheng, asking if he managed to catch him. Cheng says yes, and they all lament that he died with just one hit, saying that mages are weak and warriors are more fun in comparison. The scene changes, and another young man is being held by his hair and threatens them, saying he will report what happened to his guild. The same group of men laughs and tells him that there's nothing his guild can do and that if he wants to end it, he should disconnect, although they will seek him out later to continue making him suffer. HyeonWoo, who was hiding high on a tree branch while all this was happening, observes them and contemplates his role. They are known as citizens killers, people who haven't left the starting city after reaching level 12. Their only objective is actually to massacre inexperienced new players, and they waste their time doing it because they find it fun to torture others. Knowing that fighting against them with his current level would be foolish, he decides to leave. But when he turns to tell Lucky to follow him, he notices that the puppy is angry. The protagonist evaluates the fact that they both defeated the Goblin Champion together and wonders if the group can become stronger than him. Another scene shows the group of attackers walking through a field where there is a crowd of novices watching them. Just as Cheng, the man with the mace, approaches to attack the nearest one, a fireball hits him in the face, causing him to fall to the ground and creating a commotion. Then the protagonist appears and pretends to speak as if he were live streaming, claiming to be Archmage BJ. The people in the group become concerned about the revelation of his identity. Taking advantage of their distraction, HyeonWoo shoots an ice arrow at them. The only remaining member of the group, who is still standing, tries to escape from the protagonist, worried that he might be an alternate account of a millionaire, as only millionaires can be archmages. Lucky follows him from behind and jumps to bite him in the neck, causing him to fall to the ground. An interface preaching low opposition karma appears. Then another interface appears, quoting variety of loot items increases above the group that the protagonist had defeated. And there are 3 floating cards above their heads. And in 1 out of every 3, there is one that shines differently. HyeonWoo looks excited to obtain something good from teaching the bandits a lesson, and is happy because now he can see which items are truly good. Among the items he collects, he discovers the Goblin Champion's armor and pants, which would activate the set effect along with the mask he has. After equipping them, different panels open up, indicating the increase in his stats and how the damage from goblins has increased by 10%. Another panel opens up showing the information of his achievements, and his level remains at 9. With his mind focused on what he sees, he gets scared when Lucky suddenly starts howling. And then a new panel appears above the puppy, stating that his beast has gained a new power and he must choose a card. Surprised, HyeonWoo looks at the cards, and as one of them lights up in yellow, indicating it is a legendary skill card. Another panel opens up, revealing that Lucky has gained the ability of Treasure Hunter, which aims to make the beast gain the power to sense hidden rare treasures. This makes the protagonist think about the man called the luckiest player in God Wars, who is the guild master of immortals, Lapo, and his divine beast Fenrir, Smarty. Most of Lapo's personal content was about finding hidden items in dungeons, and his luck seemed so good that it seemed fake. HyeonWoo turns to look at Lucky, now aware that it was luck that granted him the treasure hunter ability. Later, the two are seen running, and HyeonWoo encourages Lucky to use his hunting ability. Thanks to that, they obtain different rare and high-quality ingredients that they can sell at a good price. They continue running until Lucky stops in front of a burrow, which, upon stopping, triggers a new text box stating that it is the secret hideout of a goblin sorcerer. Among the additional information, HyeonWoo notices that it says only players below level 12 can enter, and by obtaining the title of Goblin Sorcerer Eradicator, they will also have the benefits of increased stats. This surprises HyeonWoo, as he has never heard of any hidden dungeon in the starting city, which means he is the first discoverer. The protagonist considers selling that information to cover his expenses for a month. However, he later despairs and ultimately realizes that he can't call himself a true player if he even sells that kind of information. So in the end, he gives in to his desires and decides to enter the dungeon. Inside, there is a dilapidated room where several goblins are keeping watch, and there is one sitting on a throne with a skull scepter. Their level is indicated below, which is 16. Unexpectedly, something jumps onto one of the goblins, which turns out to be Lucky. The goblins turn to see him, and in that moment, the puppy howls. The goblins are struck by fireballs from HyeonWoo, who is now determined to clear that dungeon. HyeonWoo orders Lucky to attack, and the puppy goes straight for the neck of a goblin. He has mastered a great deal of information regarding goblins, so he knows that the resistance of the goblin sorcerer is low. But as a boss monster, he uses powerful attack magic while his subordinates buy him time. Therefore, what HyeonWoo needs to do is attack at the right moment. The protagonist advances and stabs the goblin sorcerer in the neck with a dagger, causing a significant decrease in his health level. Then he retreats and throws a fireball from a distance. That brings the boss's HP almost to its limit. HyeonWoo regrets that this move didn't finish him off completely because now he has to see how the goblin changes his fighting pattern. The goblin raises his arm, forming a purple ball, but before he can throw it, Lucky bites his leg, stopping the sorcerer from continuing. This gives HyeonWoo enough time to launch another attack and win with another fireball. The goblin falls back onto his throne, and a panel indicating victory appears. He prepares to celebrate with Lucky when he hears the goblin sorcerer speaking. Surprised, HyeonWoo turns around to look and sees the goblin shouting that God Wars has begun. Finding it incomprehensible, the protagonist assumes it might have been a bug and decides to focus on checking the things he obtained. He also verifies the recording he made as evidence to sell it later and reviews the things he might have gained, including the Goblin Sorcerer's Staff, a unique ranked item that cannot be traded. Then, a text box appears stating that the main stage section has been created. HyeonWoo initially gets annoyed before becoming confused. He then recalls information about the scientist who created God Wars, the world's most perfect virtual reality, Kim Min-soo. Reporters asked him, "Why did you create a game with new technologies?" To which Kim Min-soo replied, "I just want to make history. It all started out of my personal interest, and I don't intend to make money from it." Shortly after that, he died. That was one of the main reasons why many people started playing God Wars, with the intention of finding out what Min-soo wanted to convey in his game. However, after 5 years, none of the players managed to find the story he spoke of, the long-awaited main stage. And it is precisely what the protagonist seems to have finally discovered, kneeling in disbelief, as the main stage is something all users have been searching for everywhere since the beginning. He finds it ironic to find it in the starting city after many users complained about a system error. In reality, the protagonist thinks many tried to search in the starting city, but after the emergence of the Explorer Guild, something like that would have been impossible. But that allowed HyeonWoo to have the opportunity to start the story himself, which is why he decides not to report the dungeon to the community. The protagonist thanks Lucky, and then a panel appears warning him that he hasn't yet performed the draw that is expected after leveling up. And since HyeonWoo had overlooked it many times, he accepts. When the cards are revealed, one shines brightly. HyeonWoo is surprised because it's the Polymorph skill, a legendary ranked ability that allows him to transform into any creature he has hunted. He appears again in the starting city because according to the instructions, he has to visit the NPC Jung, whom he needs to see in order to graduate, although his intention is to ask if Jung knows anything about the remains of an unnamed god. The protagonist knows that Jung's house is like an instance dungeon, where a separate area is created only for one player, so it is not under the scrutiny of guild members. Upon entering, the NPC receives him, and HyeonWoo asks the question, causing an exclamation mark to appear above Jung. He tells him that a nameless god corresponds to those who lost in God Wars and had to step down from their thrones. They are beings that can no longer be called gods and have been forgotten by people. Before losing their power in the war, it is said that they left their legacy somewhere in the world. Jung asks the protagonist if he wants to know about the remnants of a nameless god, and he responds affirmatively, asking where he can find them. Jung clarifies that he doesn't know where they are either, although he has searched for them. He hands him a ring and asks him to find Sakhalin in the Uyghur city. If he shows her the ring, she will guide him in the search. And so, the main stage begins. The protagonist continues alongside the NPC Jung, finally graduating from the starting city. Jung wishes the protagonist good luck before finally being sent to Uyghur City, the place where the real game begins. There is a crowd of young beginners in the square, observing their surroundings and being impressed by their graduation. HyeonWoo doesn't pay much attention to this and continues walking, causing the beginners who were nearby to assume he is an experienced player playing on an alternate account. The protagonist walks through a desolate alley and thinks about the fact that the ring he received from Jung has additional effects at the same level as a legendary item. It even had a set effect with Sakhalin's ring. He wonders if he will continue to receive such benefits if he keeps going like this. They arrive at NPC Sakhalin's house, where a little girl gets angry upon seeing him. HyeonWoo shows her the ring and tells her that Jung sent him there. As soon as he does, a panel appears in the air, stating that he has fulfilled his search. Of course, the protagonist thinks that the next quest is coming, but the NPC actually mocks him and tells him that she won't talk to people who have only hunted goblins. Unless he wants to receive information, he will have to go to the city and hunt 10,000 orcs. This marks the beginning of his new quest. After trying to argue with Sakhalin, she kicks him out of her house. The task of hunting 10,000 orcs worries the protagonist, as he wonders how much time it would take to hunt such a large number of orcs. An interface appears in front of his eyes, stating that the quest is to hunt an orc until he recovers the fragment of a nameless god. The scene changes, showing a group of people trying to fight an orc. The girl encourages her companion to hold on while they attack. Meanwhile, HyeonWoo is standing on a steep cliff, watching the progress of the fight. He says he has found the true objective of the quest, which is to hunt orcs until he finds the randomly dropped item. Since Sakhalin told him to hunt 10,000 orcs, it means that if he hunts them randomly, there is a 0.01% chance of obtaining the item. But thanks to his ability to see all hidden information, he only needs to find the orc that is holding onto the item. The only problem with this is that the group he is observing is hunting the very orc he needs. This doesn't last long because it seems that the person protecting the attacking group has just disconnected after playing the game for 5 hours, which means they are automatically disconnected. For this reason, HyeonWoo decides to intervene and throws a fireball at the orc while seemingly talking to the audience as if he were in a live stream. The people below believe the same, and HyeonWoo jumps off the cliff to save them. HyeonWoo appears jumping through the air, along with Lucky, who immediately jumps onto the ogre's neck to bite it. HyeonWoo takes advantage of the ogre being focused on attacking the wolf to throw a fireball, reducing its health bar by half. He dodges all its attempts to attack and shoots an icy arrow. HyeonWoo is confident that after 5 years of training with nothing but sheer effort, he should be able to defeat an orc. By alternating various attacks, he defeats the orc. Just as this happens, the missing companion of the group appears, surprised that there are no orcs left. The group thanks them, but HyeonWoo is worried about the unspoken rule in God Wars, where whoever attacks the monster first has priority when it comes to items, meaning he doesn't have priority in obtaining the loot. Faced with this detail, HyeonWoo acts again as if he were in a live stream, thanking for some donations and pretending that his followers asked him to collect the orc's loot he defeated, which HyeonWoo refuses to do. However, the group members believe his act and willingly give him the loot. HyeonWoo accepts it and continues pretending to talk to the audience, saying that he will create an event if he obtains an important item. He adds that he only got trash and is about to leave when one of the group members they saved approaches to ask for his streamer name so they can promote it to their friends. The protagonist says his name is Archmage BJ. With everything ready, HyeonWoo takes the fragment of the nameless god to Sakhalin. The NPC is surprised at the protagonist's luck in obtaining the fragment so quickly and eventually accepts it, allowing him to complete the quest. HyeonWoo also levels up and is allowed to draw for a new skill. Among the available skills, he obtains Long Shot, a unique ranged ability that increases in power depending on the distance. Sakhalin asks him if he knows why it's so difficult to find the trace of a nameless god, and she explains that a barrier was created to prevent those who used to follow him from entering. However, there must be a way to break it. Sakhalin turns the fragment she had in her hand into a ring, and in the hidden information that HyeonWoo sees, it states that it's a unique rank ring that temporarily allows him to bypass the barrier of the altar of a nameless god. Amidst all this, the NPC warns the protagonist that the adventure is dangerous, but HyeonWoo says he doesn't care about the danger, thus receiving a new mission. A panel reveals that the mission level range is above 10, and although the reward appears as unknown, HyeonWoo's ability to see hidden information lets him know that he would actually earn a legendary skill card, which would give him the opportunity to progress as an assassin upon completing the mission. The legendary skill card, therefore, represents an insanely difficult quest. HyeonWoo says it's the first time he has received a mission that rewards a legendary skill. As they walk around, he tells Lucky that the location of the altar will be revealed soon, just like they found the orc during the hunt. Little Lucky rejoices in front of him and howls, reminding him that he has Lucky to find hidden places. The scene changes, and they appear in what is called the Fish Forest, where they have found the entrance to the altar, a small hole in the ground. HyeonWoo reviews the quest information, which states that the rank of the dungeon is legendary, and the required level is 20 and below. The title granted upon completion is Victor of the Rotten Orc. After evaluating the information, HyeonWoo decides to level up to confront the new boss that has appeared since he is still at level 11. He asks Lucky to follow him so they can level up together, and as they advance on the path, they come across a group fighting against an orc, arguing among themselves. This reminds the protagonist of the time 5 years ago when he had just started and had to keep up with his group. Eventually, wealthy individuals started using money to buy skills and items, creating a gap between them and the rest of the players, which led the protagonist to hate them. HyeonWoo finds a lone orc and takes the opportunity to attack with an ice arrow and a fireball, instantly leveling up. The scene changes, and some people seem to be talking about HyeonWoo for his ability to single-handedly massacre orcs in the Fish Forest. They even call him the man of a single combo because he defeats orcs with just one combo. Others gossip about him being an archmage who does live streams and even has a magical beast. One of the guys listening laughs and wonders what items he would win if he killed an archmage. HyeonWoo, who continues his orc hunting, says he feels his ears burning, alluding to the Korean belief that when people talk about you, your ears get hot. Right after, an orc runs towards him, and HyeonWoo defeats it instantly with a fireball, finally reaching level 20. He decides to check the skill card he received, which hasn't been useful for him since level 11, and he seems surprised when he looks at the cards. We are now at the cafe. One of the men excitedly exits the capsule, exclaiming that he has won a unique item and will treat everyone to lunch because of it. Hyukju asks the protagonist if he won't ask for anything, to which he refuses, showing a sad expression. He asks Hyukju to return him to the game, as he believes that something bad may have happened to him during the game. Meanwhile, it is revealed that the card HyeonWoo obtained is the Dragon's Dignity, a legendary ranked card. Its effect is that all objects within a specific proximity exposed to the Dragon's Dignity receive increased damage by 10%. Along with Magic Shot, it increases the magical damage inflicted, but with Dragon's Dignity, it increases all damage to all affected enemies. This means that those who fight alongside him would gain a 10% attack buff. This will benefit HyeonWoo in gaining power for the guild he is in, without even moving. HyeonWoo arrives at the secret altar, equips Sakhalin's ring, and dives into the hole in the ground, deceiving the barrier with the ring's power and managing to pass through. Before him, stairs appear in the earth, leading downward to the dungeon. There are some orcs below trying to attack HyeonWoo before he reaches the final boss room. Inside, there is something resembling mud that smells terrible, and a panel indicates that statistics are reduced by 10%. Then, a giant orc-like monster emerges from what seems to be mud. HyeonWoo notices that the monster's health bar is 3 times that of regular orcs, but when the monster attempts to attack, the protagonist realizes that its speed is inversely proportional to its life. With the little damage he can deal, all HyeonWoo can do is be patient while attacking. And that's how he manages to defeat the decomposed ogre. He earns the titles of the one who doesn't retreat, Nerves of Steel, and Sharpshooter, along with acquiring a rune. Sakhalin is surprised that HyeonWoo managed to obtain the remnants of the nameless god. During their conversation, HyeonWoo seems to want to tell her something important, which Sakhalin ignores. Instead, she gives him a skill book, and when the protagonist becomes desperate, she asks him if he wants to know the meaning of the orc's last words. HyeonWoo is surprised and seems to remember what happened when he was still in the dungeon, when the orc suddenly stood up, scaring him. He then says that he knows HyeonWoo is searching for the weapon that can put an end to the myth. Sakhalin asks him to relax, and realizing his interest in the weapon, she reveals that she will give him information about it if he fulfills a favor for her. The mission is to hunt down a killer orc, a mission that requires a level above 20 and rewards the Sakhalin ring, which the protagonist accepts. An additional note states that progress from the Cursed Forest will be possible once the mission is completed, and it will also grant the title of Knowing the Almighty's class. This reveals that the mythical item exists, an item that was rumored to be better than the legendary rank, although even the developer did not confirm whether this rumor was true or not. Since no one was able to find the mythical item after that, it remained as a rumor, and now thanks to HyeonWoo, its existence has been confirmed. This scares HyeonWoo, who knows that this kind of information is very important and could potentially endanger his life and even the lives of his family. The information is not something the protagonist can casually reveal. The resulting impact will be visible even in the outside world. However, if HyeonWoo prepares in advance before revealing it, the results might not be so bad. The protagonist appears back at home, searching on his phone for information about the killer orc. Most of the reports state that it has deceptive difficulty and can only be fought by a group of 5 or fewer players, and supports are not allowed unless they can manage aggro, despite the numerous conditions to defeat it and the fact that it doesn't offer a good reward. The main reason so many people attempt to defeat it is because the killer orc is considered a trophy needed to be recognized as a rising rookie in the God Wars community. This makes HyeonWoo doubt whether he will need to search for a group to fight this time. Taewoo, the protagonist's brother, then appears and asks what's going on. HyeonWoo assures him that he's just doing work-related tasks, and when his brother looks serious and uncertain, HyeonWoo guarantees that everything has been going well. HyeonWoo then decides to leave, telling himself that it's okay if he decides not to play in a group and make this journey with Lucky alone. Upon entering the game, Lucky greets HyeonWoo, and upon seeing the wolf, HyeonWoo repeats to himself that it's fine to do things alone for the sake of not revealing his identity to the community just yet. With Lucky still in his arms, the protagonist suddenly sees a question mark appearing above his head, followed by a text box revealing that Lucky's energy is overflowing. and if he delivers the final blow to 444 monsters, Lucky can evolve and improve all his statistics. This confuses the protagonist, who believed that the requirements for the divine beast to evolve were to kill 5,000 or more monsters. He assumes that they would only accumulate such a number of final blows after battling 5,000 monsters. With that in mind, HyeonWoo decides to sell the information later. This makes HyeonWoo happy, as he thanks Lucky because his goal of defeating the killer orc with just the two of them is no longer such a distant possibility. He prepares to go and hunt orcs, using the skill bestowed by Sakhalin, Dragon's Eye, to see how everything unfolds. HyeonWoo appears from behind, dressed in his baseball uniform. He reveals that God Wars doesn't have an auto-targeting system, and while precision is an important skill, the minimum requirement is sufficient because it doesn't matter where you hit the monster as long as you hit it. Although that is no longer the case for him now that he can use Dragon's Eye. He activates this power and prepares to attack the orc's weakest point from as far away as possible, maximizing damage by combining all his passives. The protagonist launches a fireball from the maximum allowed distance, increasing the inflicted damage, which defeats the orc in a single blow and grants him a title for that achievement. HyeonWoo then apologizes to Lucky for forgetting to let him deliver the final blow. Outside the game, HyeonWoo is shown sitting in the capsule with a disappointed expression. Hyukju approaches him and assumes that his face reflects a rough time in the game, although when he asks HyeonWoo, he says that everything is fine. In addition to asking about his condition, he also questions if he hasn't visited the fish forest, and then tells him that according to some, the stench that was there has disappeared. This greatly surprises HyeonWoo, which could mean that the main scenario would affect the game world, and that would only draw players' attention to the fact that someone is clearing the main scenario quests. Hastened by this detail, HyeonWoo decides to kill orcs faster for Lucky's swift progress. In the game, once again, the two of them appear attacking the 444th orc, and thanks to this, Lucky proceeds to evolve, gaining a new power from God. When the cards to choose Lucky's new power appear, there's one that shines brightly, and HyeonWoo is able to know what's in it. He is pleased with the result as it gives him the possibility to win against the orc. The group called the Heinz Group appears, a group that apparently signed with the new Rising Star and has come to hunt the orc with only 3 people. The signal that the orc has appeared alerts everyone, and the group asks the others where they stand in line and how many teams are waiting. However, someone interrupts and says that apparently there's someone who wants to face the killer orc alone. Once again, the scene changes, and a forest is observed, accompanied by the following monologue. In combat, there are a couple of rules that everyone must follow. Any DPS should not attack until the tanks have safely taken control of the orc. But HyeonWoo wonders what would happen if there were an ability that allowed him to forcibly take the orc, even in the middle of a battle. Just then, an orc wielding a double-edged axe appears, and HyeonWoo also appears, asking Lucky to act at that moment. And the wolf seems to make a sound that stuns the orc. A new box appears, stating that Lucky has expressed his intention of mortal combat with the orc. Mortal Kombat turns out to be a legendary skill where the divine beast expresses its intention and challenges the enemy, and the challenged enemy cannot attack anyone other than the divine beast. HyeonWoo smiles as he sees the orc change direction and proceeds to try to attack Lucky. He takes advantage of this distraction to use Dragon's Eye and aim from the farthest spot and attack, increasing the power of his throws. The act changes again, and the group of 3 reappears. One of them expresses interest in seeing the guy who's in the dungeon alone, sure that it's most likely to fail. Perhaps he thought he had a chance, but doubts he can do it because it's not easy to handle Phase 3 Massacre Mode alone. HyeonWoo appears again and says that Phase 3 has begun and tells Lucky to run. According to him, the higher the player's level, the more important the existence of a tank is. This is because ranged DPS players have increasing difficulties fulfilling their roles with stronger monsters, but if they have the mechanics to distract an enemy while dealing damage, they don't need to rely on a tank no matter how high their level is. Using this advantage, along with the Dragon's Eye ability and his ball-throwing skill learned from his time as a baseball player, HyeonWoo prepares and throws a fireball. HyeonWoo hits the orc with the fireball and kills it, earning the title of Orc Slayer and also the title of the one who killed an orc alone, completing his mission. As soon as this happens, he rushes to Sakhalin's house, who is surprised to see him after a short time. Satisfied that he did his job in the end, she awards him his prize, which is the Sakhalin ring. It increases his statistics by 20%, raises his health and mana recovery ability upon acquisition, and also boosts his attack damage. Sakhalin also tells him about the main theme, After the gods used the creations of the world to cause war, many followers went to the battlefield to fight for the gods they worshipped. Some of them achieved legendary results, but there was one who achieved something that no one else could even come close to. He became a myth of never being defeated and achieved great accomplishments in battle for the god he worshipped. He became a reason for terror among his enemies and someone to be revered by his allies. Despite all his efforts, the war did not end, and he discovered that no matter how many battles he won, it was impossible for him to completely put an end to the War of the Gods. From then on, he searched for something that could surpass legends, something that could end that war once and for all, and that is the almighty, the omnipotent weapon capable of even killing a god. The story grants the protagonist the title of Know the Almighty class, and Sakhalin asks him if he wants to know more. With HyeonWoo's positive response, she mocks him and tells him that she will give him a new mission, which is to kill 1,000 zombies in the cursed forest. HyeonWoo relaxes because he thinks it will be like last time where he had to find the monster with the item. However, when he confronts it, the mission details reveal that he actually has to kill 1,000 zombies. HyeonWoo asks Sakhalin if it's mandatory to kill 1,000 zombies for the mission, and despite Sakhalin mocking him for the question, he decides to accept the mission anyway. Back in the real world, HyeonWoo laments the fact that he has to kill 1,000 zombies and how long it will take. Hyukju notifies him that he had a call, and HyeonWoo sees that it's a missed call from his brother. When he calls back, worried, Hyerin answers the phone and tells him that she won an award. Taewoo then takes the phone and explains to the protagonist that Hyerin won an award for something she drew, and that she was very excited to tell her uncle first. This makes HyeonWoo very happy, and Taewoo clarifies that it's not a prize for winning a preschool competition but something from the city, and she even managed to participate in the provincial competition. To celebrate, the protagonist offers to buy chicken for Hyukju. Seeing this, Hyukju thinks he's just putting on a strong front due to the difficult situation he must be going through. HyeonWoo gets distracted when he notices that a new video has been uploaded to Wars TV. The next day, when HyeonWoo appears at the cafe, he finds Hyukju completely focused on something on his phone. When he asks what it is, Hyukju tells him it's a video that was recently uploaded and has become a trend. HyeonWoo asks what it's about, and Hyukju replies that it's just a video of some overpowered millionaire killing a boss. As soon as the protagonist hears this, he starts ranting against the millionaires who ruined the game environment. He then asks Hyukju which boss the rich guy could have defeated, and he answers that it was the killer orc. A Wars TV video appears, featuring a young presenter talking about a video that was sent to her the previous day about a solo player's massacre, and how it shows what a garbage game God Wars is because it seems that his divine beast is playing the role of a tank. All internet users are wondering if that can be called a solo kill because of it. Some comments accuse the game of being pay to win and only caring about money, assuming that the person fighting is actually a millionaire. HyeonWoo worries about the number of views the video has received since he tried to operate as legally as possible and stay out of everything. Considering these circumstances, HyeonWoo wonders if it might be best for him to start uploading his videos. Hyukju is still discussing that, and the protagonist tries to defend himself without raising Hyukju's suspicions, and after that, he asks to be returned to the game. In the game, HyeonWoo goes to the Cursed Forest, a dark place full of monsters that most players choose not to enter. That's a benefit for HyeonWoo, who enjoys being alone. In the count of defeated zombies, it shows 74 out of 1,000. He knows he should be over 100, but Lucky has been delaying him a lot by sniffing scents. HyeonWoo follows Lucky and takes him to some rare flowers that are sold for 20 in the community, and the protagonist becomes happy and harvests them. Lucky detects something again and leads him to an NPC lying on the ground, who appears to be injured. HyeonWoo immediately offers his help, and the NPC thanks him and introduces himself as Yoshi. Yoshi asks him for 100 cursed zombie traces, a rare mission that would grant the protagonist a skill book. New words appear, stating that when someone asks for the fastest way to level up, it is said that the rank 3 war god, Asmo, responded that it is something simple, focusing on obtaining unique and legendary items, borrowing legendary skills, and defeating monsters 10 or 20 levels above you solo. And that's exactly the method HyeonWoo uses to level up, so leveling up has become quite easy for him. The protagonist thinks about resting, but Lucky barks again, indicating that he has detected a scent. HyeonWoo approaches an NPC named Jack, whom Lucky guided him to. The NPC asks him to hunt some zombies and meet him in the city of Wigo when he's done, promising a reward, which is also a skill book. While HyeonWoo is in the cursed forest, he also analyzes the fact that he hasn't encountered anyone yet, considering the influence of the Explorer Guild there. Taking advantage of this strange occurrence, HyeonWoo decides to farm with Lucky. In the city of Wiga, the protagonist meets NPC Jack again, receives the reward, and then hides in an alley where he lets Lucky out from under his cloak. HyeonWoo tells Lucky that it's time to collect all the mission rewards they earned. Among them, he receives one called Master of Fire Element, a rare ranked skill that allows him to increase damage inflicted by all types of fire magic and reduces casting and cooldown time. He also decides to open the unique skill book given to him by Yoshi. HyeonWoo exits the capsule. When Hyukju sees him, he asks if he's okay because he doesn't seem very lively, and the protagonist just asks him to leave, pretending to be discouraged. Later, he's on his phone and checks the price of a crossbow that, as the name implies, increases damage for magic attacks when not moving. It also reduces casting and cooldown time for the magic used, which means he could achieve great results by staying in the back. It's a skill that HyeonWoo doesn't want to let go of because it synergizes with Dragon's Eyes and Long Shot. He also checks that he has several private messages on his phone. He speculates that it's because of the leaked video where he solo kills the orc. Among the messages, many want to buy the video. Among them, there's one that surprises him, offering $10,000. Initially, HyeonWoo thinks it's a joke, but then he realizes it comes from a verified account and is from an important channel called Rising Star Channel. It's a channel that believes in quality over quantity, and they have good videos and warnings. And recently, they've been gaining subscribers. They have new beginnings in their main content on the channel. With that kind of contract, HyeonWoo thinks he wouldn't have to worry about selling the crossbow, so he decides to give a response. On the other hand, President Yoongjun's secretary at Rising Star Channel discusses whether it was appropriate to offer such a large sum of money to someone like him. President Yoongjun explains that the only reason the Archmage has come this far is because he has spent a lot of money buying skills and other things. He tells him that all of this only generates one question: why spend so much money on that? If he had bought the level up service from the Explorer Guild, he would just have to stay still and wait. Why should he put himself in danger? He says the safest bet is that all of this is because he wants attention and wants an offer from a big channel like his. Of course, in that case, he would accept the offer and try to gain their trust, and then present a business proposal, believing that he is wealthy. They want to take advantage of the money they assume the Archmage possesses. The scene goes back to HyeonWoo, who is in the cursed forest killing orcs, using the crossbow he obtained. After reaching Sakhalin, she asks him about his thoughts on defeating 1,000 monsters. HyeonWoo replies that the fishy smell coming from the fish forest was produced by the rotten orc at the altar of an unnamed god, so it's possible that the cursed forest is always under the influence of an unnamed god. Sakhalin nods after his response, and HyeonWoo is confident that now Sakhalin will give him a new mission to defeat the boss in the cursed forest. Just as he thinks, it happens, and she gives him a mission outside the cursed forest. Before he leaves, she also gives him a book that HyeonWoo asks Lucky to hold. He then proceeds to choose a skill and finds the double casting skill, a unique ranked skill that grants the ability to simultaneously cast two abilities. HyeonWoo exits the capsule when Hyukju appears and tells him that things have gone crazy because someone is selling a double casting skill card for $60,000. This surprises him, and he thinks that since God Wars started, it took some time for the prices of items and skills to stabilize, because several items were different and skill cards were particularly difficult to value. It was not possible to see their worth until investigations were conducted regarding the functionality of each skill. But there were some exceptions to these cases, thanks to the excellence of certain items or skills. Shortly after, he notices a new message in his inbox from the company Rising Star Channel. Once again, Secretary Kim appears, arguing with Youngju, asking if it's a good decision to send the contract video. The contract request is as follows: if you can send us a video of you solo killing the precarious sorcery, we want to buy it for $12,950. President Youngju tells him it's okay to send it, that it's unlikely he will win against him with what he currently has, and he estimates that with his personality, he won't decline the offer and instead will spend up to $50,000 on skills and items, especially because this monster is more difficult to defeat than the killer orc. This means they would be entering into a relationship where each is willing to spend money on the other. Again, with HyeonWoo, who is back in the cursed forest, equipped with the killer orc set. He has bought the set and has also purchased two new skills. One of them is Thunder, a unique ranked skill that allows him to shoot 3 lightning arrows. And the second one is Fire Spear, another unique ranked skill that can summon a spear made of fire. HyeonWoo laments the expense of money but assumes that the mail was a test to discern whether he is truly capable of investing in or not. With the intention of becoming a star, he must risk it in order to kill it in one shot. While advancing through the cursed forest, HyeonWoo encounters the Explorer Guild, who recognize him as the Archmage streamer because of the wolf. As soon as they see him, HyeonWoo pretends to be grateful to them for taking care of him. The two guild members believe that the protagonist is mocking them but don't say anything because it has been requested within the guild not to mess with him, due to the recent suspicion that he will become a VIP. HyeonWoo also offers both guild members 2 expensive stress relief potions. While staying with the guild members, a passing group also recognizes him as the Archmage BJ, and noticing his familiarity with the Explorer Guild, they confirm the rumor that he uses their VIP service to level up. All of this is part of HyeonWoo's intentions to appear protected by the Explorer Guild, and nobody should mess with them. The scene changes, and a duo of young people is running away from something, seemingly angry about how quickly their tanks ran out. It can be observed that a multi-headed monster is following them. HyeonWoo in the cursed forest hunting monsters using his 2 new abilities, Thunder and Fire Spear. However, using both abilities simultaneously quickly depletes his mana, so the protagonist must drink potions to replenish it. While fighting, he reaches level 30, and as usual, he is offered the opportunity to choose a new skill. HyeonWoo accepts, and the skill cards are displayed in front of him, one of which shines in red, indicating it is a unique rank skill. When he sees it, it turns out to be the Strength ability, which strengthens the target and increases the range of all abilities affected by its strength. Although initially disappointed and unsure if he can use it properly, he soon realizes that it increases the range and decides to take it. The situation changes, and a group of friends who want to hunt down the last remaining zombie orc. However, before anyone can do anything, a fireball reaches the zombie and kills it instantly. One of them gets upset and reproaches the other after assuring him that there was nothing within a 50-meter radius. The boy explains that it is indeed the case, and whoever took their target is someone who shot from more than 50 meters away. Back with HyeonWoo, the protagonist seems surprised to have been able to hit his target thanks to the increased range from the Strength ability, along with skills like Long Shot and Dragon Eyes. It works perfectly, and he has also increased Lucky's combat power. Analyzing this, along with his new range of about 100 meters, HyeonWoo decides to fight the orc. Once again, the group that HyeonWoo took the target from appears, searching for the person who did it. In the midst of an incident, they notice that the people around them have suddenly become excited and hear some people shouting that the Archmage streamer will try to solo the precarious sorcerer. After that, HyeonWoo is seen pressing the record button on a floating screen and then looking at the camera to introduce himself. He says that it would be very boring to defeat the precarious sorcerer alone and adds that to make it fun, he will try to defeat him without being hit once. He then simultaneously sends Fire Spear and Thunder directly at one of the sorcerer's heads, causing the sorcerer to strike the ground with his staff in an attempt to summon something, where Lucky intervenes and attacks the sorcerer before he can do anything. HyeonWoo takes advantage of this disadvantage to corner him and uses several of his abilities, including Thunder and Ice Arrow. Then he activates Dragon Eyes and says he will create a stationary attack cannon. After his words, he launches a fireball. While the battle is taking place, the previous group remains hidden among the trees, waiting for the opportune moment to deliver the final blow and steal the items. They know that during the 3rd phase of the precarious sorcerer, he will cast Zombie Gathering, his ultimate ability that summons all the zombies in the area. And since the zombies only attack those who have attacked the precarious sorcerer, they think that while HyeonWoo is focused on getting rid of the zombies, they can attack. However, HyeonWoo knows what the hidden group plans to do but remains in his role, and pretends to speak to the viewers. He says that he will surprise them by showing his 5th magic spell, and runs towards the precarious sorcerer, jumping into the air, and with his axe, he splits the 2-headed monster in half. He continues acting as if he is talking to someone and turns around to thank 2 shadows that are seen in the distance, pretending they are from the Explorer Guild. Upon hearing this, the hidden group decides to leave, aware that any harm to someone supported by the guild could be fatal for them. As they leave, HyeonWoo breathes a sigh of relief, revealing that the shadows were 2 goblins leaning on branches on the ground. With Sakhalin once again, the protagonist hands her a stone and explains that the reason she was cursed was because of that stone. She accepts it and gives HyeonWoo a staff, a unique ranked item that increases several of his stats, which can only be used by those above level 30 and cannot be traded. Once she hands it over, she reveals that the piece of stone is rejecting his mana. Why does he think that is? HyeonWoo immediately responds that it's because it has an owner, and Sakhalin agrees. She also states that the stone still has a connection with its owner, and that he will have to make a compass. So she asks him to go to the golden mines and find the blacksmith Zuga, starting his next mission in the main questline. We see the Rising Star Channel building. In the office, Secretary Kim receives a mail from HyeonWoo with BJ Entertainment. After reading it, President Youngju tells Secretary Kim that with his last words, HyeonWoo has shown that he is now testing them. He asks Secretary Kim what has changed since the last video. Indeed, not only has he changed with objects but also with abilities, especially one. Dual Course, an ability that was being offered in Jibei for $1,000 but was then withdrawn before being sold. Youngju says that this must be because someone must have offered more than the set price, and he assumes it must have been HyeonWoo. So, to fulfill the supposed test, he asks the secretary to increase the video's quality and improve the funds for its promotion. In the Golden Mines, a hunting field for players in Mine Game, for level 40, a field monster was created there. The only way to level up was to enter the periodically occurring stay dungeons around the mine. It is a system where incompetent users who are unable to form a group will be left behind one by one. And even if they manage to form a group, in groups that exceed the dungeon's set quantity, those with the lowest level or contribution would soon be excluded. Despite appearing sad, the Golden Mines is the place to distinguish the Jades from other God Wars players. HyeonWoo, who used to be the one excluded before, heads towards Zuga. A window opens in front of him, stating that he must ask Zuga to turn the cursed stone into a compass. Inside a cave, he encounters Zuga, a dwarf blacksmith who asks him what he's doing there. HyeonWoo explains that Sakhalin sent him because she believes it's possible for him to make a compass with the cursed stone. He goes on to explain that the necklace he's wearing is made of soul metal, a type of metal that can only be obtained nearby. It's an object that only responds to the specific magic of the owner once it has been established beforehand. HyeonWoo questions whether he should mine that metal, but Zuga tells him no and suggests that, if possible, it would be better for HyeonWoo to clear Dungeon 111 to make Zuga feel safer while mining. Although disappointed, the protagonist has no choice but to accept and thinks he should take the opportunity to record. However, he notices that Lucky has an exclamation mark above his head, indicating his evolution. Excitedly, HyeonWoo gives Lucky several potions and herbs before entering the dungeon. A new window appears, warning him that it's a solo hunt and Lucky will evolve if he kills 99 monsters with a higher level than him. HyeonWoo prepares to help him so he doesn't get hurt. But in the end, Lucky doesn't seem to need it and attacks a kobold miner. Eventually, he hunts down all 99 monsters. During the evolution, HyeonWoo is given the opportunity to choose Lucky's new ability, and obtains a legendary ranked one that turns him golden and grants him an increase in attack power and speed for 5 minutes. HyeonWoo is excited after witnessing the impressive speed with which Lucky defeated a kobold miner. In the process, Lucky catches the scent of a hidden unique ranked dungeon that could result in a unique ability card, and they enter it. Meanwhile, at Rising Star Channel, Youngju asks about the performance of Archmage BJ's new video. Secretary Kim responds that the view count has been quite good, as some views have come from Wars TV viewers. Youngju says it's most likely that Archmage BJ uploaded the video of him killing the assassin orc because the accumulated fame of his presence in tabloids is much greater than what he would gain by showing his face in a magazine or newspaper. While they are talking, one of the employees interrupts and rushes to the president to show him that Asmo commented on Archmage BJ's recent video, saying, "Is it real? It's the first time I've seen a staff with that design." This is surprising because Asmo is one of the princes of Saudi Arabia, with a fortune of over 1 trillion won. As a club owner and professional gamer, he gained fame by buying the Archmage class for $1 million. He is the man who has spent the most in God Wars and who maintains a collection of game assets. In his videos, he even has fun using new items just for entertainment. Taking Asmo's comment into account in Archmage BJ's video, Youngju suspects that there is some kind of close relationship between them, considering that there must be someone between the two who told him to take a look at the new item, possibly even Archmage BJ himself. With this information and assuming that Archmage BJ may be more important than initially thought, Youngju decides to change the offer and asks Secretary Kim to establish a profit distribution of 6/4, with the 4 being for them. The scene changes, and HyeonWoo appears stretching after coming out of the capsule. As soon as Hyukju sees him, he talks about a new trending video that has reached 1 million views, referring to HyeonWoo's video. He also adds that Asmo commented on it. This detail immediately worries HyeonWoo because it refers to the goblin sorcerer's staff he obtained after clearing the hidden dungeon, a dungeon exclusive to the main scenario. HyeonWoo is concerned that he has now left a clue regarding the existence of the main scenario, and assumes that if Asmo commented on his video, it's because he has a group of people tasked with searching for something related to the main scenario. With this in mind, HyeonWoo tries to relax because, for the time being, he has the advantage, and if he tries hard, he can go further. We see a beast called Dogmole, who is the boss of the dungeon where HyeonWoo and Lucky are. HyeonWoo realizes that if he were a normal player, the battle against this boss would have been challenging because it lives up to its name and moves constantly through the holes, making it difficult to keep up with. However, since HyeonWoo can see where it will attack, the boss is not so formidable. He shoots an ice arrow and defeats it. As a reward for clearing the dungeon, he is given the opportunity to choose a unique ability card. HyeonWoo obtains Lightning Shield, which creates a barrier with electricity flowing through it, electrocuting anyone who touches it. Since HyeonWoo already has abilities of each element, he believes it would be best to give this power to Lucky, as it would synergize well with the buffs from other abilities. After considering whether he should search for other buff abilities for pets, he thinks of Haste. Haste is a type of ability that summons a wind fairy to increase an individual's movement speed. Buff abilities are suitable for both offense and defense, despite their exponentially high prices. In the end, HyeonWoo purchases the ability for 6,000 wons to use it with Lucky and start a time attack. The two of them enter a low-rank dungeon that, compared to a track, is the shortest distance and the reason why players attempted a time attack there. The record holder was Sasaki Kajiro, with a time of 4 minutes and 11 seconds. He was a Sword Emperor, a legendary ranked class just like Archmage, and was in the top 10 rankings in God Wars. Throughout all these years, no one has been able to break the record, and HyeonWoo knows that it's impossible for him to break it. However, he wants to know if it's possible to come close to it. He activates Strength and Haste on Lucky, gives him several potions and herbs to boost his stats, and then starts recording. He introduces himself and says he will attempt a time attack in the Dorito mines, but the challenge will be undertaken by Lucky alone. Lucky starts with Quick Attack and fights against the Kobold miners. To their surprise, Lucky manages to clear the dungeon in a very fast time. And since Quick Attack is still active and lasts only 5 minutes, it can only mean that Lucky cleared the dungeon in less than 5 minutes. The scene changes, and they return to the real world, where Hyukju asks HyeonWoo if he's okay. After HyeonWoo mentions taking medicine for his heart, Hyukju tells him to try to relax for his own good. The reason HyeonWoo is so agitated is that he actually broke Sasaki Kajiro's record, and he has it recorded. He wonders what Rising Star Channel will think of that. While discussing that, we see the company building, where President Youngju and Secretary Kim are talking about Archmage BJ. After expressing some doubts about the possibility of HyeonWoo being angry with their attempts to catch him, Youngju wonders if they will receive any response. However, Secretary Kim informs them of the arrival of an email with 2 videos, the one they requested and one more. Upon hearing this, Youngju immediately approaches, and they both watch the new video. HyeonWoo emerges from the capsule and is surprised to find no one around. He decides to look for the others to find out what's going on. When he meets the others, he sees them on their phones, all watching his video. Hyukju then appears and tells him that the video is trending. Hearing this, the protagonist is surprised and wonders if Asmo commented again. In fact, that's right. Asmo commented on the ring HyeonWoo was wearing, a ring he had never seen before in his life. That horrifies HyeonWoo because he was wearing the ring that Sakhalin gave him, which means that Asmo is really keeping an eye on him. HyeonWoo returns to the game and meets Zuga, who thanks him for clearing the dungeons because it allowed him to gather enough minerals. Zuga also mentions that he has finished the necklace and only the stone needs to be placed. HyeonWoo agrees and turns around to leave and find Sakhalin. But as soon as he does, Sakhalin appears at the cave entrance and asks him why he called her to that place. Zuga replies that it's because the necklace is ready. She opens a small portal and takes out the stone, handing it to HyeonWoo. She warns him not to do anything foolish, and when Zuga says that they have both already committed their souls to that thing, she intervenes again to tell him not to say anything foolish either. Zuga places the stone in the center of the compass necklace. As he swings the necklace in the air, it moves on its own and points north, then he hands it to HyeonWoo. As soon as he does, a message appears indicating the completion of his mission. HyeonWoo levels up twice, earns titles, and a rune. After that, he is offered the opportunity to choose an ability, but HyeonWoo declines. As for the cursed necklace, it is a unique ranked item with a required level of 40 to wear it. It contains fragments of a cursed existence and will indicate the direction where it can sense the owner of the fragment. The cursed necklace boosts all stats and is a non-tradable item. HyeonWoo is given a mission to find out where the necklace leads at all costs. The mission is called Swamp, and the objective is to go north to the swamp indicated by the necklace and discover what's there. As a reward for the mission, he receives a book of legendary ability cards, non-tradable, leaving him speechless. After this, he decides to choose the pending ability and finds a legendary one called Guardian. The Rising Star channel building appears, and an employee informs HyeonWoo that the video editing is finished. Youngju asks Secretary Kim how many views he speculates the video will have. Youngju says that considering the fact that he broke the record of none other than the Archmage BJ, it will likely reach 10 million views. On the other hand, HyeonWoo has the Guardian card, an ability that allows a defeated monster to follow your orders. It is an exclusive ability of the Archmages and also possessed by Asmo. It is a type of ability that is rarely used because the conditions to fulfill it are difficult. You cannot have a guardian with a higher level than yours, and you need to defeat 100 of them within a time limit. The reason Asmo's guardian is so famous is not because of that, but because guardians can equip the player's items, including legendary ones. Asmo made his guardian wear legendary items that were very difficult and rare to obtain for normal players. HyeonWoo wants to get a guardian so that Lucky can focus on dealing damage. In the end, he decides to leave and uses maximum speed. Outside, there is a group of 3 men guarding HyeonWoo's exit from the dungeon. The 3 of them have been paid by someone, although they seem puzzled that their duty is to take care of a simple magician. They are surprised when they see HyeonWoo running. At first, they think it's just a coincidence, but HyeonWoo turns his head and stares at them, hastening his pace, causing them to lose sight of him. Meanwhile, HyeonWoo and Lucky advance towards their next destination, the swamp area. While that is happening, internet users are watching the new video under the name of BJ Lucky. During the last minute of the video, after showing how Lucky broke the record by reaching 409, HyeonWoo appears and hints at everyone's interest in knowing where his items came from. He proceeds to show Sakhalin's staff and tells them that if they guess what it is, he will explain to everyone where the rest of the items he has used so far came from. Asmo also comments in this video and asks him to only reveal where he comes from, sponsoring the video with a sum of $10,000. Everyone is talking about the video and Asmo's donation. However, as soon as they notice that HyeonWoo is trembling, they stop talking, thinking that the luck of Archmage BJ affects him in some way since he has to level up by working as a miner. Contrary to what everyone thinks, HyeonWoo is actually excited about the amount of money he has earned thanks to the videos. He decides to spend it to invest in his videos and wonders if he should have bought the golem summoning from the beginning, although he believes it is not necessary at the moment because he has the Guardian ability. However, he decides to check the price of golem summoning and finds one that is very cheap, so he decides to buy it. To his surprise, as soon as he presses the buy button, the store notifies that the product is sold out, and HyeonWoo laments. With President Youngju, on the other hand, he seems genuinely worried after seeing the results of Archmage BJ's video because they haven't done anything that other companies can't do, which may mean that any company would serve Archmage BJ. He explains to Secretary Kim that they may need to show their sincerity this time through bribes. In the swamp, where HyeonWoo was supposed to go, it is a hunting ground located north of Dorito mines and only accessible to players above level 50. It is a place where players battle against the swamp and all the trees surrounding them. Although the depth is usually ankle deep, sometimes it can be waist deep and hinder players, but this flaw also affects monsters. That's why this kind of environment is advantageous for a sorcerer like HyeonWoo. Just then, HyeonWoo appears and throws a fireball at a monster hiding in the swamp. After defeating it, HyeonWoo is guided by the necklace to a nest. As soon as he touches the branches around the entrance, a text box appears with information stating that the place is called Lizardmen's Nest, a legendary level dungeon with the mission of killing all the lizardmen inside. The lizardmen count is shown below, and it is 1998. HyeonWoo knows it's too much since the dungeon seems to be designed to be cleared in a group, so he needs to increase his strength to enter. Therefore, he decides to summon a lizardman guardian. As he does so, the guardian he has summoned kneels before him. But HyeonWoo is interested because it has a question mark on its head, considering that it is not an NPC, so he assumes that guardians can also have hidden missions. The guardian's hidden mission is revealed, stating that if it protects its master from monsters for 33 minutes, its loyalty will rise to level 8. When it reaches level 8, the Guardian's strength and combat abilities will increase, and they will also be able to have intimate conversations. What HyeonWoo assumes is that the Guardian has a loyalty system, so he lets the Guardian fight and sits down next to a tree to watch it defend him. That hidden condition that says how to deal with a monster without killing it for 33 minutes is something Asmo should know. But HyeonWoo seems to be the first to know about the loyalty system. Once the 33 minutes are up and the Guardian levels up, HyeonWoo asks it to withdraw from the battle. To his dismay, the Guardian actually shouts something and changes its attack tactics, killing its opponent, something it didn't do before. The lizardman kneels before him again and asks him to give it a name, so HyeonWoo names it Gold. This change in the way Gold seems to have more life allows HyeonWoo to consider whether it would be appropriate to only battle among the three of them, although he still appears unsure and eager to have the golem summoning ability. It is a legendary rank ability that allows him to summon a golem made of earth, and by increasing the level of the ability, the golem's strength, size, and defense will increase accordingly. Outside the game, HyeonWoo, who is sleeping, is awakened by his niece Hyerin. Upon waking up, he checks his phone and sees a notification from Rising Star Channel stating that he has been gifted a skill card, specifically for golem summoning. After receiving this message, HyeonWoo leaves the house to go outside. On the other hand, a mysterious blonde woman appears and is watching Archmage BJ's recent video. She wants to send an assassin to Archmage BJ, as she is certain that he has a clue about the main scenario. When the young man accompanying her doubts that she can obtain a clue by taking away his items, she says that cutting off his possibilities for a while is not the main purpose. The young man, still worried, doubts who would accept the request considering that Archmage BJ seems to be colluding with someone as important as Asmo. The woman says that there will be someone who will do it, with a deposit of $1,000 and an incentive of $10,000 after success. She happens to know someone who would be willing if the price is that high: Sniper Lola, a player belonging to the Love Federation of the Seven Stars Guild. She also asks to include in the request that it comes from the guild manager of Abyss, Emma. HyeonWoo in the game thanks Rising Star for the gift and knows that he must now show something beyond their imagination. He knows he has to perform a solo kill in the shortest possible time to prove his point. With this thought in mind, he enters the lizardman's nest. Inside, everything has gone well. HyeonWoo only needs to defeat 3 lizardmen. Thanks to the fact that hidden quests have quickly increased his stats, his strength stats are excellent for a mage. And thanks to creature summoning, the monsters do not direct their attacks towards him. He can freely attack monsters even from a distance of 100 meters. This means that he may be able to defeat the jewel alligator alone. Once he finishes killing all the lizardmen in the nest, the necklace directs him to a new direction. It leads him to a set of stairs where there is an egg, a dragon egg that requires the strength of an unnamed god to hatch. This excites HyeonWoo, who takes it. Outside the nest, HyeonWoo is seen walking on a bridge with Lucky and Gold. Sniper Lola, hidden in the distance, uses the Wega bow, a legendary rank bow made by Wega that has the special ability that once the target has been attacked, the next arrow will follow the target. Sniper Lola aims and shoots, but before the arrow reaches its target, Gold puts up a shield between them while Lucky runs. HyeonWoo thinks that under any other circumstances with another normal player, an assassination attempt would scare him because he wouldn't know where and from whom the arrow is coming, but he expected them to come to assassinate him. Just as he creates an opening to be attacked, knowing that the type who came to kill him is underestimating him because of the location. He launches a fireball from a long distance to prove to him that the location has nothing to do with it, and that he shouldn't mess with him. Sniper Lola believes that the fact that he was able to protect himself was just a coincidence, so he aims with the arrow again from a distance of 120 meters. However, a fireball hits him directly in the head, dealing a critical blow. After this, Sniper Lola decides to retreat but gets distracted by Lucky's presence in the bushes. At a disadvantage, he is hit by an ice arrow in the back and then attacked by Lucky, who pounces on his neck. As HyeonWoo reaches Sniper Lola trapped by Lucky, he reads his ID as Rail and immediately recognizes who he is and his role as an alternate account of Sniper Lola, a member of the Seven Stars Alliance. If he were to do anything against him, he could potentially turn an entire guild against him. It is reiterated that Rail is the alternate character of Sniper Lola, and HyeonWoo knows this because they hunted together before on his previous account. Because Rail is someone so important, HyeonWoo cannot afford to kill him as it would make a powerful enemy guild, so he prevents Lucky and Gold from attacking. However, he also cannot allow him to leave without any consequences. He demonstrates that he knows his true identity as Lola. After revealing it, he also expresses his anger about Lola hiding her own identity from the alcohol whale, and the consequences it has caused. This nickname catches Rail's attention, and he assumes that HyeonWoo must know the master of his guild. The master of the Seven Stars Alliance is called Daini, and he possessed a status far beyond the reach of ordinary players. But those who truly knew him referred to him as the Alcohol Whale. Disturbed, HyeonWoo confronts Rail about the fact that Daini sent him to kill him simply because he didn't inform him. Rail is concerned about the apparent closeness between HyeonWoo and Daini. Before HyeonWoo speaks again, he asks Rail if he accepted a player kill request and received money behind the guild's back, which is prohibited within the guild. Caught in a dilemma due to the possibility of being accused and expelled from the guild, Rail decides to apologize to HyeonWoo. HyeonWoo questions whether it is really necessary to kill him, and when Rail denies it, HyeonWoo tells him that in that case, they can cover it up since he doesn't want any problems with the alliance. He pretends that his objective was merely farming, and it's fine to let him go. They can agree to lie and act as if Rail failed in his attack and HyeonWoo managed to escape. But in return for this, Rail must give him something in exchange for his life, and once Rail accepts the truthfulness of his words, he decides to give him his Wiga bow. As Rail leaves, HyeonWoo trembles and falls, relieved that his lie worked because he doesn't know Daini and relied on rumors to pretend to be close to him. At least he obtained the bow from the encounter, which belongs to a series of Wiga items that can be obtained from Wiga City. The bow has proven to be the best, which made its minimum value in trades reach 40,000 won. He considers selling it at first, but in the end, he decides to keep it. Although a bow is not commonly used by mages, the Wiga bow is a different matter, due to its tracking ability, where if the first arrow hits the target, the following arrows will automatically follow. However, he doubts its usefulness because he cannot use both a staff and a bow at the same time. So he uses telekinesis to suspend the bow in the air and opens his inventory to take out his Sakhalin staff, and also suspend it in the air with telekinesis, making it much easier to switch between them. In the city, everyone is surprised by the appearance of Lucky and the fact that they have been able to see Archmage BJ for the first time, and they wonder why there are 2 guards surrounding him. And that's how the first part of this manhwa ends. If you have reached this part of the video, let me tell you that you have been one of the few people to make it here, so comment the word ARCHMAGE in the comments. Remember to subscribe to not miss any videos. With that said, see you in the next video.